Hi, my name is George, and today I'm going to talk about Intro to Java. So what is Java? It is general purpose, statically typed, object-oriented, class-based, platform-independent programming language. That's quite a mouthful, but throughout this presentation, I'll be describing each one. So a brief history. In 1990, Sun Microsystems started a project to develop software for embedded consumer electronics. However, each product would have a unique operating system. So let's say I want to make a program for a fridge. However, Samsung's fridge might be different than LG's fridge, so I have to write two different programs even though they both do the same thing. So James Gosling developed a new language called Oak to assist in the project. In 1995, Oak was renamed Java. Now, the 5-second pitch of Java would be write once, run anywhere, or WORA. Java can be written on one device and run on any device. Developers do not need to write different versions of software for different operating systems and platforms. How is this done? By the Java Virtual Machine. The Java Virtual Machine, or JVM, interprets Java binary code, bytecode, for computer processors. Bytecode is computer object code that is processed by JVM. So basically, in other languages, you'll have the computer that, like say C++, it'll run its program, it'll send it to the machine in zeros and ones. However, different computer processors, like interpret that slightly differently. So what Java does, the Java Virtual Machine, it translates that for you. So you only have to write one program once. So think of it as jQuery for the 90s. So what's also nice about Java is that it's secure. It adds an extra layer in between the program and the operating system. So here's Java versus JavaScript. They both have Java in the name, so they must be pretty similar, right? Well, a good analogy would be like what Java is to JavaScript is what car is to carpet. And so, yeah, good. And so this is Hello World. If you look at the top, that's Java. First you have to make a class, then you have to make a function, and then you say Hello World. JavaScript, you just say Hello World. So if you noticed in that little blurb there, there's this one thing called main. What main does is at runtime, the system starts by calling the class's main method. The main method then calls all other methods to run the application. Think of it as like the top of a tree node. So what is static typed versus dynamically typed? So static type, you're required to state a type when you declare a variable, function, class, etc. The type is checked at compile time. So for example, if I wanted to declare an integer, my number, 10 equals 10, I'd have to say integer my number equals 10. Dynamically typed, you don't have to do that. You can just say my number equals 10. However, statically typed is much faster because it is checked at compile time. So when it's time to run, the program knows what's going on. However, dynamically typed, it has to check what type it is and assign that type during runtime. I kind of need to show this slide. All right. Wiggle? All right. So I do declare. So if you look here, this is a function. So first you need to say it's public, which means anyone can use it. String, which means it's going to return a string. When you look at the parameter, it says int xp, which means that it's going to be an integer. So everything has to be declared in Java. Now there are two different data types in Java. First, there are primitive types. Java has 8 different, like number, integer, boolean, float. They can only hold a value. Object types are data types that have methods and properties associated with it. So in Java, strings and arrays are objects because they have methods associated with it. Now, arrays. Interesting thing about arrays in Java is you can declare them different ways. The first one, if you see, is kind of syntactic sugar, where it says integer array is, and then the name of the array is an array. If you look at the second line, it says an array new, which is the constructor function, integer 10. So what this means is that we're creating a new array object that has a fixed length of 10, and it can only be integers. Now, why I bring this up? Because it's a good example of memory allocation. You know, usually we say, oh, this has 10 pieces back to back in the memory. JavaScript, we really don't see that because we can mess around with the arrays, even though in the memory it's back to back. Now, classes. Everything in Java has to be a class or in a class. It is a classical inheritance model, which means there's no prototype. If you look here, this is a good example. Once again, I have to declare public. This class is public. The class is note activity. Extends app compact activity. Extends is basically inherit. So it's going to inherit all the properties and methods from act compact activity. And then in here, you have the function, which protected is kind of special. And then void means you don't return anything. And then super, which is like saying, oh, I'm going to call my father's method onCreate inside my new onCreate. So static, another special property of Java is static. Static methods and properties belong to the class, not the instance of class. So basically, think of them kind of as like a class instance methods on SQLize, where you have to say task class dot method name to call it. You don't actually make an instance of the class. Another interesting part of Java is abstract classes versus interfaces. Interfaces are similar to classes, but can only be inherited and must implement all methods. Kind of think of them as like factories, where you can inject all these methods into a class, and you can inject them into many different classes. However, abstract classes cannot be instanced. However, it can pass on properties and methods to other classes, but there cannot be multiple inheritance, unlike interfaces. So where's Java used? Finance, electronic trading systems, data processing, etc. Scientific applications, like natural language processing. It was used to make Minecraft and video games, and also Android. Now, Android is slightly different because it uses its own development kit compared to Java development kit, and that's why Oracle is currently suing Google right now, because they're like fighting over, oh, you should be using our development kit, but we're not. So what are the drawbacks? It's verbose, lots of boilerplate, everything is a class, and it's not ideal for rapid deployment. You saw above for hello world, you had to write a class, a function, and then hello world. So quick summary, write once, run anywhere. It is statically typed. Everything is a class. Java is used on many platforms. However, it is very verbose. Thank you.